evening and welcome to Hard Copy on Channels Television. I am Bukola Koka, standing in for your regular anchor, Kayla Megwa. Tonight, the Pengassan versus Dangote dispute over workers' rights gets our attention. The resolution of the standoff between both parties came as a relief to industry watchers and the generality of Nigerians who feared that otherwise it could have led to another round of scarcity of petroleum products, long queues, and higher prices. However, this resolution remains temporary because, according to Pengassan, the terms of the agreement brokered by the federal government were steep, giving it the short end of the stick. The Pengassan president, Mr. Festus Osifo, who led other EXCO members of his organization during the negotiations mediated by the Minister of Labor and Productivity, warned that the strike could resume without notice if Dangote Refinery failed to honor the resolutions. Now, what are the lessons derivable from this huge dispute on trade unionism and oil industry management in the private sector? How do we ensure seamless operations in a young, deregulated downstream sector that is only beginning to show signs of stability after decades of petrol scarcity and unproductive refineries, even after huge resources spent on turnaround maintenance? And more importantly, how do we strike a balance between protecting workers' rights and the need for employers to maximize profits in the downstream oil sector? Mr. Festus Osifo, who wears two hats as the president of the Trade Union Congress and president of Pengassan, is my guest tonight, who speaks more on the backstory of the dispute and provides answers to the concerns over the consequences arising from the dispute. Mr. Festus Osifo, welcome to Hard Copy.
Thank you so much, Bukola. Thank you for having me.
And thank you indeed for making out time to come, because we know that it's been a busy couple of days for you amid the negotiations.
Yeah, thank you so much.
And speaking of which, we saw that it ran into about 2 days with efforts of the federal government to intervene and broker, a form of resolution, which we have now arrived at. Give us a sense of why it went on for that long and what were the high points?
Yes, thank you so much, Bukola. 2 days was not really long if you look at it in the sense of that. But just a synopsis of how we got to that point. So when Dangote Refinery came on stream sometime in 2021, 2022, so we deployed some of our executives. They went there. They had a meeting with the group CEO and some of the senior management of Dangote Refinery, both Pengassan and Nupeng. So they had a conversation and they told us that their employees, that they were free to join the union, being that it's the law. So this was in 2022 and we did not act. All this while, we waited and we allowed, the refinery to settle down. They started producing AGO, started producing PMS and all that. Even while the employees, they were coming to us that they want to join Pengassan, we asked them, hold on a bit, until the MOU that was signed between between Dangote management and Nupeng, as witnessed by NLC and TUC. So they gave a 2 weeks window that within these 2 weeks that the workers are free to join the union. So when they now gave that 2 weeks notice, so the employees, they came to us in their droves that they want to join Pengassan. In fact, on a particular day, over 30 or 40 of them came to our secretariat and told us that they want to join Pengassan. So it was because of that, we now said, okay, let's deploy forms to them. We deploy a Google form to them, and behold, within 48 hours, over 800 plus filled the form. So they now said that they want us to unionize them before that window of 2 weeks elapses. So that was why on the 22nd of September, that was the day that 2 weeks window would elapse. That was why we now sent them the form, sent Dangote the communication. We sent Dangote a letter informing him that, or rather the management, that these people, that they have registered with us freely and voluntarily as required by the law, that they've registered with us and that moving forward, they are now our members. These are the pro-tem executives. So we did that on the 22nd of September. Then by the 23rd and 24th, they now got some of their HRO executives to do a word count. So they were going from offices to offices, from unit to unit, to confirm if these people, if they truly subscribe to Pengassan, so they were ticking the box, truly over 800 plus acknowledge the fact that yes, we have signed to be members of Pengassan voluntarily. So this happened till Wednesday last week. Then on Thursday, that was when he now used a single letter to terminate over 800 plus people. I mean, Bukola, these people, they were employed, giving them individual letters and giving them their individual condition of service, right? But you now use a single letter in terminating everyone. That is quite not correct. That is not how it should even be done. To terminate an individual, you give him his own letter, but with a single letter, they terminated all. So this happened on Thursday. Then I and my executive, we had a meeting with the Congress of the Pengassan members in Dangote, whereby we gave them a lot. I mean, they told us what the challenges were. They explained to us the issues and that they were at the gate that morning. And we now had a NEC meeting on Saturday, and the NEC decided that this is an extraordinary times and we need to take an extraordinary measure. So that's what prompted the industrial action.
And these were some of the things that were being discussed during the haggling and the back and forth during the meeting. Yes, certainly. Certainly.
But
the backstory is beginning to emerge to the effect that we're hearing that it was a WhatsApp group that was created in which, some of these workers were being enlisted on that WhatsApp group to provide information about the operations of Dangote Refinery to your association. Have you chanced upon that report?
To our association?
Pengassan was allegedly recruiting these staff to enlist in a WhatsApp group, and they provided forms for them, and they were asking them to provide confidential information about operations at the refinery.
Which confidential information are they going to provide that would warrant a sack? You have 800 people. I mean, they created a WhatsApp group, which is normal. Pengassan have 160 branches. 150 of them operate in the private sector, and they all have WhatsApp group. I am from Total Energies upstream, all right? We have a WhatsApp group. All the chapters, they have WhatsApp group. What is there about WhatsApp group?
But if you run an organization and, confidential information was being harvested from your organization to a WhatsApp group chat that will go outside your community, would you be
What is the confidential information?
Would you be comfortable with that?
What is the confidential information? And there is no Pengassan official that is even in that group, Bukola. It's a group of employees, all right? So if a group of employees, they are discussing things about their company, what is really the challenge about that? There is no Pengassan official. I am not in their WhatsApp group. There is none of the secretarial staff that is in their WhatsApp group. I can't be, because what is really special about Dangote? That's the question we've asked. Because really, Pengassan is in 150 private organizations. I cannot be in all their WhatsApp group. I don't belong to any of those WhatsApp groups because they have their chapter and their branch executives that manages their activities. So it's not really for us to be in their WhatsApp group. So they could be in their WhatsApp group discussing some issues peculiar to their organization. It's for them. But they should show us evidence of those confidential information that they were sharing with Pengassan. Show us the evidence of that. It's not just enough to say confidential information. Those are buzzwords. Just as they said, that sabotage. We later found out that there was really nothing like sabotage in any way.
But another question that is just as important is why the conflicts are coming back to back. And people are asking, what do the oil industry players have against Dangote? Prior to Pengassan versus Dangote, it was New Peng and Dangote. It was Dapman versus Dangote. So why are these issues coming back to back?
Do you know that as of today, Dangote Refinery doesn't have license to operate? NMDPRA is the regulator of the mid and the downstream in the oil and gas industry. They don't even allow the NMDPRA to do their work. Let me explain one thing to you, Bukola. Dangote has operated in an industry that you didn't have regulations. So he has been used to, being in a system where there is no regulation, a system where you just set up factory, you really, don't have those kind of strong regulations that we have in the oil and gas industry. That was why, from the beginning, if you could check, the problem started earlier with NMDPROA, the regulator of the industry. If you remember, where the current authority chief executive came out to make some statements, I think sometime last year. Then you now have a series of challenges, thereafter. So the problem really is that I'm not quite sure that they did their due diligence to understand this industry, because the oil and gas industry is a unique industry that operates, that has the same code, all over the world. So that understanding really was not there, number one. Then number two, people have asked, is it really about the sacking of these people? What else could it be? Okay, when they have even agreed now to say we are moving them, we are taking them back, didn't the strike end? The strike ended. So if it was because of another reason, we wouldn't have stopped the strike, right? But the strike ended immediately. They said, okay, the federal government imposed it on them that, okay, you are going to do this or that. And as of today, they said they've accepted. So we are watching. So it was purely about these people. When you tell someone a saboteur and you disengage that person based on that reason, that person would find it extremely difficult to find job anywhere anymore. When you even terminate someone from his place of work, it's difficult for that person to find job elsewhere, because they will ask you, where have you worked? Go and bring references from where you've worked. There's no employer that will see that Mr. A was terminated in a particular organization that will want to employ such person. Talk less of the fact that they were termed saboteur. So when you say someone has sabotaged your company, that was why we were really interested to say, no, these are young engineers, 26, 27, 28 years old, that their future will be destroyed if we don't act decisively. So,
but when you say that Dangote doesn't have a license to operate, it really doesn't answer all of the questions, because then some would say that perhaps the oil industry players do not want the importation regime to end, and hence perhaps that the marketers are using Nupeng and Pengassan as proxies to fight a player who has put his hard-earned money, $20 billion, to put an investment on ground that has now begun to help Nigeria exit that regime of petroleum, of importation of petroleum products. Is that the case here, that the marketers are using Pengassan and Nupeng as proxies to fight Dangote, and indeed some government players, whom Dangote himself accused as having refineries abroad, do not also want that investment, that national asset, to thrive?
First, Bukola, NMDPRO is a government agency, right? So it's owned by government. So what you are saying is that the government does not want Dangote to succeed. That's what you infer by that. Because if the regulator, that is government, they are government. So if they are having some issues with the refineries, so that means government does not want Dangote to operate, and that is not the case. Number one. Then number two, Bukola, really, we've heard these narratives. As unionists at times, we have thick skins because people spin narratives X, Y, Z. The question we have asked is that if Dangote did not sack those people, there wouldn't have been any cause for action. That's the reality. So who started it? Was it that Dangote was just on his own, allowing the people to unionize? Then we will not go there and start struggling? The answer clearly is a no. So the cause of action was because of the termination of these people. Then talking about marketers, we largely in Pengassan, we have our teeth majorly in the upstream and minimal presence in both the mid and the downstream, Bukola. So we are not into PMS distribution. We are not into moving PMS from one tank farm to another. That's not our core area of jurisdiction. So Nupeng is in that area. For us, the clear cause of it was issues bordering about the sack. I have asked a question. If he did not sack these our members and we are agitating for no just cause, then that question will be valid. But when you drill it down, he started it, or the company management started it, by the firing unjustly of 800 people. So when they now recall them back, didn't the strike stop? How come those marketers did not tell us that we should not stop the strike? If they were actually the one using us. We don't have any relationship with them whatsoever.
So they're totally unrelated?
No, totally 100%.
They just happen to happen coincidentally.
100%.
But we'll find out just how trite that argument is, in line with other concerns also that some other players, you say not Pengas and Nupeng, are also, working to retain an old template that Nigeria should be exiting from. But that will be after the break. This is Hard Copy on Channels Television. We'll pause for a break now. When we return, we'll explore the other aspects of the conversation, including what's happening with the Port Harcourt Refinery. Stay with us right back. Welcome back. This is Hard Copy on Channels Television. I've been talking with the President of the Trade Union Congress and President of the Petroleum and Natural Gas Senior Staff Association of Nigeria, Pengasan, Mr. Festus Osifo. We've been talking about trying to understand the backstory from the dispute over the sacking of 800 workers, and following which the federal government brokered a resolution, and of course other issues that are falling out of this particular dispute. Thank you for holding on.
Yeah, thank you so much.
You have said in different fora that this is not about check-off dues. This is not about what is personal to Pengasan, but about the rights of workers. And to that, some industry players have asked that why then is Pengasan and of course other affiliate unions in the oil industry not advocating for the right of the oil workers down to the last mile, to those who are at the petrol stations, who are earning less than the minimum wage, some of them earning less than the minimum wage. And then other players as well are talking about extortion by Nupeng, of course, to which Nupeng has denied, about, attaching 50,000 naira per truck to distribution of petroleum products, which increases the cost of petroleum products. I'd like you to respond to those issues.
First, about the check-off deals, as we have said, that this action, or we trying to unionize members of or staff of Dangote refineries, was never about check-off deals. I said something yesterday in your sister program that those that affected the Dangote refineries is 800 plus. That we've done the statistics of putting all their salaries together. Their entire salary, the part that would contribute to check-off deals, 20 of our members in the IOCs, their check-off deals will be higher than the entire Dangote, employees put together, the part that contribute to check-off deals. So it is not about that in any way. It is more about how do we improve the lives of these people. And you note as well, when it comes to unionism, it is freedom of association. Ratau could come to channels to try to unionize people in channels. If they say they don't want union, if they don't subscribe to union, Ratau will walk away. So you are talking about the people working in those filling stations. So the question is that first, Pengasan, we operate major, we are senior staff association, all right? We are senior staff union. We are not junior staff union. So most of these people in those filling stations, their job did not fall into our jurisdiction majorly. Maybe the supervisors, yes, but not those fuel pump attendants.
But Nupeng is not in the vanguard of advocating for the rights of those workers. As a matter of fact, the truck drivers are saying that Nupeng does not provide, even in spite of the fact that it forces them to unionize, but it doesn't also ensure the welfare of those workers.
So you can take that question and take it to Nupeng, all right? I don't clearly understand how Nupeng operates because I am from Pengasan, so I could speak for Pengasan. You could invite Nupeng President or General Secretary. I believe that they have answers to that.
But you could speak broadly to the argument that we have exited or beginning to exit that era where we require, that intervention in the distribution of petroleum products, because Dangote is saying, now I want to forward integrate and introduce that.
Bukola, we should also be careful as a country. I think that if we allow one company that is private, that government doesn't have sufficient stake in to do a full value chain integration in this industry, we, as a citizen of Nigeria, we are going to face the music tomorrow. Look at the cement industry, for example. Who is the price taker, the price dictator in that industry today? That when they wake up and say, you buy, say, I've moved my cement to 20,000 naira, everybody would follow. So we should be extremely careful because energy security is key. Because tomorrow, if something did not go well,
are you saying that the
you
depots
can shut down?
Are you saying that the depots should be retained?
No. What are the depots doing? What is the function of a depot actually? The function of a depot is to act as a stopgap, so that today, for example, even as Dangote is producing in Lagos, in the Lekki Free Trade Zone, you could use vessels. You could use supply vessels in moving petroleum products from the Lekki Free Trade Zone and take to Calabar and store in the depot there. It could be reserved. So when you say depot, there is really no issue.
So if there can be direct distribution to the petrol station, it takes away the cost of funding depots and also helps in the reduction of the pump price of petrol.
There is a challenge with that.
And that is the benefit to Nigerians, the final consumers of the product. Isn't that the goal also of the oil industry?
You could remember at times, we live in Nigeria, all right? We don't live in Europe. We don't live in America, right? We've had times where we have floods, for example, in Lokoja. You've seen that the road was cut off almost 2 weeks. So if you don't have reserves in Suleja, for example, you don't have reserves in Mokwa, you don't have reserves in Yobe, for example, for that 2 weeks, no truck was able to pass through that road.
All right, a fair point, but clearly that's an ongoing conversation. I'd like to maximize time and also ask what Nigerians are asking amid this debates that are stemmed from this dispute is that, can we trust Pengassan? Because Pengassan told us that the Port Harcourt refinery is working and that it was blending naphtha and crack C5 to produce petroleum products. And now since the repair work was announced, nothing is happening. So if Pengassan is saying we're fighting for the Nigerian workers, why is there not a broader agitation for our own refinery built by Nigeria to also work?
Those refineries, they were put into operations. Bukola, we visited the refineries. So it's not that anybody told us. We visited the refineries. We saw that it was functioning. We said that as at that time that they weren't producing PMS from the refining process, but they were doing blending operations. We were the first to come out to say that what they were doing was they refine kerosene, they refine what we call AGO or diesel, but they will not also refine, get naphtha. That naphtha was not blended to obtain PMS. We came out we came clean to Nigerians. Bukola, I'm an engineer for over 20 years, all right? So I understand plant operations. I understand processes. I was trained in Nigeria and abroad. So when I see system that works, I know. So it was working. And if you remember very well, and you listen to the new GCO of NNPC Limited, we paid him a courtesy visit. And we asked him, what has happened to the refinery? He told us. He never said the refinery never worked. But what he told us was very clear, that when they did the mass balance, that the crude that they were feeding to the refinery, and what they were getting at the end of the day, that they were running some level of losses. That because of that level of losses, let's assume you are feeding in crude, and the crude that you are feeding into the input side, let's say it costs, let's say $10 million. And what you are obtaining as a product that you will not take to the market was maybe $9.5 million. So if you take it up, it could lead to millions of dollars lost. That it's because of that they decided to shut down the refinery. That was from the GCEO, the new GCEO of NNPC Limited, when we posed that question to him. So when we said the refinery was working, the refinery was working. But now if you drill it down, it now comes into efficiency, it now comes into optimization and profit maximization.
So from the point of view of an engineer,
yes,
and maybe from a business perspective as well, do you invest 1.5 billion naira in repair works for a refinery only for it to end up working below average performance level?
Yes.
Is it justifiable, Mr.
Yes.
Osifo?
You could also recall, you could pose that question to NNPC Limited, number one, but secondly, the entire operation was stopped. All right, they are revaluing the entire process. So because that new one has not actually been completed. So that was the explanation, which for us makes some level of sense that we obtained from the project side and from our members who are assisting them one way or the other with the maintenance.
Made sense after the expenditure of $1.5 billion. Even if you say we should ask the question through to the operators, you should be concerned as well as a key player in the oil industry. Is it justifiable, Mr. Osifo?
Understand the point. The point is this. The $1.5 billion, as they have said, is not that they have expended everything. It's what will make the new refinery work. We have actually, over the years, we have advocated the system that will work for these refineries. I have listened to commentators. What has Pengassan done about the refineries? But if you look at all our NEC publications for the last 15 years, you are going to see that we have consistently advocated for what is going to work in the refinery. When you look at a system that works today, like the NLNG, we have said that over and over and over. There is no time I have been to your studios in the last 5 years. I have been in this position that we have not advocated for a system that will work. What we have said, as you are maintaining it, as this money has been expended, fine, get the contractor to get them fixed. But after then, government must look for consortium of refiners. Those refiners, give them 51% stake in the refinery. Let government maintain 49% because of energy security. Because government cannot just say we are leaving everything to the private institutions. That is the model that we feel that is going to make our refinery work, and it will make them much more sustainable.
Well, as we coast home now, how true is it that workers at the Port Harcourt refinery are still being paid in spite of the fact that the refinery is not working?
So it is the workers that are in those refineries that have actually even made those refineries to be a point of discussion today. If you go to Warri Refinery, you are not going to see up to 50 of NNPC employees in those refineries. They've been moved. A lot have retired. Then the other ones have been moved to the different business units.
Well, I could ask just another follow-up question, but I would have to leave it there for now. Thank you very much, Mr. Festus Osifo.
Thank you so much.
He's the president of the Trade Union Congress and president of the Petroleum and Natural Gas Senior Staff Association of Nigeria. Thank you so much for coming on Hard Copy.
Thank you for having me. Thank you.
You know, Mr. Osifo nearly re-Christianed me, considering the number of times that he called me Maokwe. But of course, it's only natural, as we also give flowers to the progenitor of this show, Hard Copy, Maokwe Ugu Yusuf. That's our show for tonight. Join us again, same time next week, when we bring you another round of interesting conversation. I am Bukola Koka. Bye for now.